This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning, guys. In today's session, let's talk about one of the object-oriented principle of Java, that is encapsulation, right? So this is very easy concept. Encapsulation is very easy concept. Um, Before I actually start with encapsulation, I would like to give you some two real-time examples, and then we will continue with encapsulation. All right. So think about the situation. There is a hotel, okay? There is a hotel. In the hotel, of course, they prepare the food or the dishes. Some dish is there, very hot dish is there. This dish is meant to be for public. Think about it. This dish that they have prepared is meant for public, right? So any public like you and me can go to this hotel and eat this food. And this food is definitely present in the kitchen. The food is present in kitchen. All right. So when we take this food, you as a customer, can you directly go and access this food directly? Definitely not. Think about it, okay? Seriously think about it. Can you go to the kitchen of the hotel and start eating the food because it is meant for public? Does it mean that any public can go to kitchen and start eating this food? Certainly no, right? So it is, I agree that this food is meant for the customers, meant for public, but public cannot access it directly, correct? What could be the reason why it is not accessible directly by the public customer? Message me. What is the problem? I'm expecting you to answer. I'm asking questions, something related to common sense. Okay, I'm not asking Java specific questions or technical questions or mathematical questions. It's pretty simple. The food is there in the hotel, and that food is available for public, that is meant for public. And does it mean that can the public directly go to the hotel kitchen and start eating the food? Can we do that? We don't have authority. Yes, Girish is saying only who can pay, only can eat. Yes, Girish, yes, assume that you go and pay the money. And does it mean that you are allowed to go to the kitchen? Yes, Jayant is answering, kitchen is not accessible for public. Okay, now, yes, try to understand it. I'll explain you why. The reason is pretty simple. If they allow you to directly go to the kitchen, let's imagine you paid for one idli and one vada, or two idlis and one vada, right? So now you have paid it, taken the coupon also, right? And assume that you directly go to the kitchen. You already paid, no doubt about it, but it does not mean that you can go to kitchen and take it, because possibility that instead of taking this one two idli and one vada, you might take four idli, two vadas. You are paid only for two idli and one vada. You might take four idlis and one vada, two vadas. So how to protect it? We are somewhere, we have to protect this unauthorized access. Try to understand it. We have to avoid this mishandling of the things. That's why what they have done is very simple. Firstly, oh, this color combination is really going crazy. Okay, so now observe, there is a food here. There's a food in this this is present in kitchen. The food is present in kitchen, and of course there is one counter person here. There is a counter person here. In the counter there is a section called counter section. There's a separate section called counter section. In the counter section there is a person, right, who is having the access to this food. So but food access is not given to outsiders. Yes or no? So food is not given to outsiders. So outsiders cannot access it. Outsiders means the public. Any public, if you want, you have an access only to this person. You have an access only to this person, but you don't have an access to this kitchen and the food. The food which is present in the kitchen cannot be accessed by any public. So the advantage is that when you give the token, so at that time you are going to give the coupon or the token to this person. This person is going to validate it. Try to understand. This person is going to validate how much you have paid, what is the date, everything is going to validate. After validation, this person accordingly going to give the food to you. So it means to say you wanted that food, right? So now you are going to get this food, you are going to get the food, but not directly, indirectly through this person. Okay, you wanted this food. This food is meant for public, yes, but you are not going to get it directly, but you are going to get it indirectly. So your purpose is solved. You wanted food, you got the food, but not directly, but indirectly. So here, very important thing what I'm trying to explain out of this is, right? Very, very important thing that direct access is not allowed. Direct access is not allowed, but rather indirect access is allowed. We are allowing indirect access. Are you clear now? Extremely important. Direct access is not allowed, rather indirect access is allowed. So this is the summary of this entire scenario. Okay, we are not going to allow direct access but indirect access. So hopefully you understood the advantages of indirect access. Observe here, this fellow, the public customer, is not allowed to access the food directly, but he has to access this indirectly through this middle person, so-called counter section, counter person, whatever it is. The advantage is that here the validation can be done or filtration can be done. In between, this person is going to filter, is going to check whether you are having, you have paid the money or not, and how much ever the money you have paid, accordingly is going to serve the food to you, right? So this is possible by using indirect access. So in the entire discussions that we have made until now, what you are supposed to understand is only one thing, that direct access is not allowed, rather indirect access is allowed. Are you clear now? Where is the hand signal here? So it's just creating the problem now. This one not. Any questions, please ask me in the chat box as of now. I'll give you one more example. Before I go with the further example, I want you to ask me any question if you have. Okay, I'm assuming that you don't have any question, okay? Now, think about this scenario. There is a bank, okay? You have kept the money in the bank. It's your own money, okay? Not someone else's money, it's your own money. You have kept some money in the bank, right? This money is present in the bank. All right. Does it mean that you as a public or external guy, can you go to the bank and access your money directly from the locker room? Similarly, right, this is not possible. This is not at all possible. Why? Because you may mishandle the money which is there. I agree that this money is yours and it must be available to you, but possibility is that you may mishandle this money, right? So that's why direct access must not be given. Direct access must not be given. What is that we have to do then? We have to allow indirect access. What is the meaning of this indirect access? Very simple. You have your money which is there in the bank, right? That's your money. We agree, we value that, but it is present in the locker room. It is present in the locker room or in a private room, okay? It's present privately. Very important, don't forget this word. It is present privately, right? So as a bank, in the bank in between, there is one more layer. In the bank, there is one more layer, that is an accountant. There is an accountant who is sitting here, right? There is an accountant who is sitting here. So this cannot be accessed directly. So whenever you as an external person, when you go there to access the money, right? When you try to access that money, you cannot access it directly. You have to go through this accountant. You have to go through accountant. What is the advantage of going through this accountant? The accountant is going to verify. The accountant, what are the things that accountant is going to perform? Verification. Is going to verify, right? Whether she will ask you, okay, accountant might ask you, okay, give me your ID card, like Aadhaar card or PAN card. She's going to check your signature. She's going to also check how much balance is there in your account, right? Everything is going to be verified here, or filtration. She's going to filter whether you are an authorized user or not. If you are an authorized user, then she will take this money because she has an access to the money, but you don't have an access. But through her, indirectly, you get the money, right? So, but direct access is not allowed. Direct access is not allowed. This is not allowed, right? But indirect access is allowed. Observe, through this, indirect access is allowed. So what is the advantages of this indirect access? So you are public, you want to access it, or you, rather than calling it as a public, right? I call you as an outsider, okay? So you are an outsider. You are an outsider. And who is public here? So accountant is public, okay? Accountant is available to you. You can go and talk to the accountant, whatever you want to talk, okay, talk. Then you can probably give the checkbook, passbook, your ID cards, etc., etc. That accountant is going to give you what you really wanted. So you wanted a money, so she's going to get you money, but indirect access. Again, in this entire scenario, what you're supposed to understand it, direct access is not allowed, but indirect access is allowed. So we allow indirect access. Are you clear? The advantages of allowing this indirect access is that we can verify this, right? We can verify whether you are an authorized person or not, right? So in this way, mishandling can be avoided. We can avoid mishandling things, okay? I just write it, avoid. We can avoid mishandling. So in this way, when we avoid it in this way, what we can do is that we can achieve, in fact, we can achieve security. We can achieve security. We can secure this money from indirect, from direct access. We can secure this, right? This is the whole story behind encapsulation. I'll repeat, this is the whole story behind encapsulation. Now, I will compare this with just observe now. Now, what happens? They treat this money which is here as a chocolate. Treat it money like a chocolate. Treat this accountant, treat this accountant as a wrapper of this chocolate. Right? So observe now, treat this like, I'll just try to explain this. Treat this money as like this chocolate and treat this wrapper. Observe, this is secured. This is secured. Similarly, this accountant is like this wrapper, right? This wrapper. So this is the whole story behind encapsulation. Right? What is the meaning of encapsulation? Observe what is the difference between capsule and an ordinary tablet. Capsule is also a medicine, tablet is also a medicine. But in case of capsule, what exactly happens is that the medicine is present inside and outside there is a wrapper which is covered, right? The medicine is present inside the wrapper. There is a wrapper like this in the medicine. This is your medicine. Medicine is probably in the powder format or some, maybe it is very pungent in taste, right? This medicine is encapsulated. This medicine is encapsulated, right? This is called capsule. So this capsule is something to do with encapsulation. Now observe, my chocolate is also encapsulated by this wrapper, right? So that's where this chocolate is protected by this particular wrapper. In the same way, your chocolate called money is encapsulated. This is encapsulated like this. It is encapsulated like this. Are you clear? So you have the money, this money is encapsulated, hence you cannot access it directly, rather you have to access it indirectly. Here we have an accountant, right? We have an accountant. Whatever you want, you can only talk to the accountant. Accountant has a direct access to this particular money. In this way, mishandling of this money can be avoided. We can protect the money from unauthorized access. Ultimately, this concept is called as what? Encapsulation. So we have to apply this concept in Java while dealing with the data member, because data members are considered as very sensitive members. Data members, you should apply security to your data. So that process of applying that security, right? The concept of applying this security to your data members to protect is called as what? Encapsulation. I will give you the definition in a little while, right? So now, if you have any questions, you can ask me in the chat window. I hope this real-time example has helped you. So no questions. Manit, do you have any questions, or your yes is for my question saying that it has really helped? No, I have not given definition only, Lenovo. I have not given the definition of encapsulation, which I'll give. Okay, thank you. Anyone else has any question, please ask me. Sure. Thank you, guys. Let's start with something called encapsulation, right? So programmatically, now I will create a new Java project here, and I call this project as, let's say, encapsulation itself. Encapsulation. So now what I will do, I will write some program. Through that program, I will take you through the problem statement. Okay, there are some problems that we are going to face. I'll take you through the problem statement. You should tell me what is that problem statement. Okay, I'll just write the code, try to understand that code, and tell me then later after understanding, you should tell me what is the problem statement out of it. Okay, what is the problem with the code? So let's say I have a class called student class, right? I have a class called student class. So I'm going to make this class as public. Of course, this class is public now. And I'm going to have some data members and I'm going to make the data members as public. Data is little sensitive. Data should not be given for everyone. Try to understand. Data must not be given for everyone. That is, you should not allow everyone to access the data. Whenever you have a data in the object, you must not allow everyone to access the data because data must be secure. Okay, understand this, remember this point. Now I write the program. So let's say I have my data members, let's say for example the double percentage. Okay, I have a percentage which is double, then I make it as public. Okay, public. So let's say I'm going to have one more data called public integer age of the student, percentage of the student, right? Like this, I may have many more properties. These properties, this is also called as fields, right? Or states, or properties, fields, states, or instance variables, right? Instance variables, different names. They all have different names, but conceptually they are same. Observe now, purposefully I made it as public. Okay. Now I'm going to write another class, let's say a website class. Try to understand it. In the website class, someone is entering the data of this students. Okay, as and when a student join this college, what they're going to do, or join the institute, a person, data entry operator, is going to enter all the data of the student to the website. Imagine that when you joined our institute for the course, we given you one form and asked you to write all your details in the form, isn't it? And once you have submitted back that form to an admin, this admin usually opens the website and enters all the details in our software, right? So in the software, we have to enter, right? Enter students, students, students data to the software. Who's going to do this? Let's say the admin is going to do this. Okay. So admin is going to do all this stuff. Okay. Data entry operator or an admin is going to do all this stuffs. Now, so for that, what is required? We need an object called student object. Student is equal to new student, right? Now I have created a student object. Now try to understand. I have created an object of student, okay? I've created an object of student. This is a student object. In this student object, we have some public members. Try to understand, public is represented as plus. Plus means public, okay? So student has some properties. What are the properties now? Percentage, and after percentage, what else? After percentage, one more is there. What is that? Age is also one more property of the student. So we have two properties. Basically, the percentage and the age both are public. Public is represented as plus. Okay. Now anyone can access this property because it is public in nature. Since it is public in nature, anyone can access the data, but it should not be allowed. No one should access this data directly, but in my case, I'm allowing it. How? Observe s dot age equal to -20. S dot percentage equal to, let's say the percentage is someone percentage 952.14. This is the percentage of the student. All right. Now tell me in the chat box, you tell me, message me, what is the problem statement here? What is that you have understood here? Okay, -20 is not a valid age. Yes, no security for the data. Some students are replying no security for the data. Invalid age, invalid percentage, right? Yes, some students are messaging wrong values. Yes, Himashri is answering like, data is manipulated in a wrong way. Like Pankaj is replying, anyone can access the data with wrong implementation. Yes, super, perfectly correct. So basically, observe there is no security for the data here. The data is being mishandled by the people, or when I say people, nothing but other code. So you have a data in one object. The data which is present in one object is mishandled by the other programs, right? In your one program, you have some object, and that object has a data, because we know the very fundamental concepts of Java. Object is a real world entity which has states and behaviors. State is nothing but the data member, behavior is nothing but a method, correct? So there is no security for your data. Data is being mishandled. So now what we are supposed to do is, now we have to apply the concept of whatever we learned in the previous session. That is, we should avoid direct access and we should allow indirect access, right? As per the hotel example or bank example, what did we do? What did we do there? We avoided, like, the direct access of the data, and we promoted indirect access. Through this indirect access, we performed some kind of validations, filtrations, and other things, isn't it? It's the same way we have to apply the indirect access concept here. How to do it? Let's see. What I'm going to do here is, what I'm going to do here is this. Let me select a pen. Let me select the pen here, but I check some colors. Okay, so now I have an object. I have an object, right? This object, this object has got some data. What are the data? Percentage, percentage, and right, let's say we have certain data like percentage and age. These are all the two data. Now what I'm supposed to do, if any program outside any program, right, any other program, any program, or here also any program, if any program wants to access this percentage or the age, we should avoid it, because this direct access must be avoided. This direct access must be avoided. So how do you avoid? By making this data member as private. What we are supposed to do? If you have to make it as private, you have to make it as private by making this data member as private, so percentage and age cannot be accessed outside. I'll repeat, by making the data member as private, this percentage and age cannot be accessed outside. Then what we are supposed to do, if you make this data member as private, no one can access that data. Can someone access the data? Not possible. So what is the answer then? Sir, if this is made as private, then how to access the data then? We cannot access the data at all, isn't it? But so what we are supposed to do is we should write a mechanism. We should put one accountant here. We should put one counter person. As like in hotel, we found a counter person. In the bank, we found one accountant. Similarly, we have to deploy one body here for validation. We have to apply one body here for validation. What this person is going to do is he should be given public access. He or she, okay? This person should be given public access. So if anyone wants to access your data, they cannot access it private data, but they can access public data. We have already understood what is the meaning of private and what is the meaning of public. Private can be accessed only within the class. Public can be accessed in any program, outside the program also, outside the class, outside the package, anywhere outside you can access it if the member is private, right? My data member is private. Observe, this is private, this is private. Hence, my percentage and age cannot be accessed outside, but it can be accessed within the class. So what I'm supposed to do within the class, make your percentage age as private and also write one public member. This public member must be a method. Write one method, write not one or many method. Okay, write many method. These methods are responsible. These methods, since these methods are present within the same class, what you can do, this method can access this data member directly because they are present in the same class. Since you make it as public, it is available for outsiders. Since it is public, it is available for outsiders. So now what you do, you have to validate. When outsider try to give the data as minus 20 as the age, right? Someone is trying to give the percentage as 927.4. Let's say this is the percentage which someone is trying to add this, right? This is the percentage which someone tried to add. So this is the age which someone is trying to add. So what you're supposed to do, you have to perform a kind of validation here, right? You have to perform the validation here. Data validation must be performed here so that if anyone tries to give this wrong data, you perform that validation. Validation is nothing but filtration. You have to perform that filtration validation. You just have to do one thing. If your data, if someone who is giving this data is wrong, then what do? Don't initialize the data, throw them an error message saying that, hey, waste fellow, this is wrong data, right? In this way, you can protect your data members. Again, in the direct diagram, so this data member is private. This outside code cannot access it directly, but they can access it indirectly. This is the story that I have explained. This is the data. Definitely, this data must be given for outsider. Outsider means for other code, but not directly, but indirectly. Observe, you cannot access it directly, but you can access it indirectly. Again, the same story, right? What we are trying to avoid here, we are trying to avoid direct access, void direct access, and encourage indirect access or enhance indirect access, right? So what am I doing it here? So this direct access is not allowed, but we are encouraging indirect access. So this is the concept of encapsulation. So your data is encapsulated. So I have the data here. This data is been encapsulated. How this data is been encapsulated here? I have certain data here. My data are there. My data is been made private, and this private data is encapsulated by public method. Public methods, right? So, but this is going to be a private data, right? You surround this. Now, treat this as a chocolate. Treat this as a wrapper of the chocolate. Okay, in this way your chocolate called data is been encapsulated or protected by these public methods, right? So ultimately what I was supposed to do right now is write a class and make the data member as private and surround this data by public methods, so that if any outsider want to access the data, they don't have direct access to the data, they have only access to the public method. Inside the public method, you can check the data, you can you can validate the data, you can validate the data can validate the data. In this way, overall, we achieve encapsulation, or it's this concept is also called data hiding. This concept is also called as hiding the data. So, what is the fundamental definition for encapsulation? Encapsulation is a process or mechanism of binding or wrapping. Encapsulation is a mechanism or a concept of binding or wrapping the data members with its related methods, with its related methods. These methods which helps to protect your data are technically called as, observe, these methods are technically called as data handler methods. Observe, data handler methods. Data handler methods. What is the meaning of data handler methods? The methods which are responsible for handling the data. I repeat, the methods which are responsible for handling the data is called data handler methods. So what is the definition of encapsulation? Encapsulation is a process or mechanism of wrapping up of, right? Wrapping up of the data members, that is private data members, along with its public data handler methods. Write the definition here, right? Encapsulation is the process or mechanism of wrapping up of private data members with its public data handler methods. With its data handler methods. That's it. This is the definition of encapsulation, right? Encapsulation is the process or mechanism of wrapping up of the private data members along with its private data member, along with its public data handler methods. That's it. Ooh. Got it now? This is the meaning of encapsulation. So now we have to programmatically achieve this encapsulation. I have just explained you the concept. See, ultimately, this encapsulation concept, what does it do? It protects the data members. It protects the data members, right? We can achieve data security. We can achieve data security. We can perform data validation. We can validate the data. Validation, right? You can validate the data. We can perform data validation or filtration. So these are all the advantages of encapsulation, right? So you should know it. I'll write it somewhere for you guys. Right. This is encapsulation. These are all the advantages of it. Protects the data members, we can achieve data security, we can perform data validation or filtration. These are all the advantages of encapsulation. Okay, how to do it? Let's see to it now. Okay, Shubham is asking a question. Can we achieve fully abstraction using encapsulation? Mm, Shubham, try to understand that what you are talking is a concept called abstraction. Abstraction is different from encapsulation. Abstraction deals with method hiding, that is logic hiding. But here we are dealing with the data hiding. That is little different from this. Okay, that is next concept after abstract. Tomorrow's concept is abstract class, and Saturday concept is going to be, tomorrow is what day? Friday, no? So Saturday concept is going to be this one, which is that interface. So after learning this interface and abstract class, then we are going to understand a concept called abstraction. So that is one of the last principle, object-oriented principle, because we already learned what is the meaning of polymorphism. We learned what is class, object, and then we eventually learned what was that? Inheritance. So out of object oriented concept, we learned about what is class, what is object. We learned inheritance also, polymorphism, and today we are learning encapsulation. Next concept, last object oriented concept left is abstraction. Once I teach object oriented concept called abstraction, then I will be left with a concept called, very important concept called collection framework. I think from Tuesday we should be, yes, from Tuesday we should be able to start with collection framework. After that, Adarsh is asking, sir, exception handling. After that, all other concepts are after the encapsulation concept. Sorry, after collection framework concept. Any questions on this? As of now, any questions? Let us make it a little fast. Any questions, please? Because I'm left with another 20 minutes. Right? I have the next class. That's why you asked me if you have any. Okay, but done. Let's start now. Now, how to do it now? It's very simple. Go to the student class. Instead of making it as public, make it as private. This is the first step. Make the data members as private. Right? Now observe. Since you made the data member as private, it can only be accessed within the class and you cannot access it outside the class. Observe here, you already started getting in the website program, we already started getting an error saying that age cannot be accessible, age is not visible. Similarly, percentage is not visible because you are trying to access it outside. Understood now the meaning of private? The private members cannot be accessed outside the class. That's why what I'm supposed to do, I should write a method called public. Public, all right, void, public void, um, um, like I call it as M1, public void M1, right? So this method, okay, fine. Now, good. Let's understand in this way. I have two data member. One is percentage, another one is age, right? Now, which is very important now. Everyone just have to focus here. Try to understand now. So I have a data member. Uh, Please mute yourself. Mute yourself. Okay. Now please observe. We have, observe here, we have a data member called percentage, and also we do have a data member called age. These are all the two data members, right? With respective data type. What is the data type of percentage? Double. Data type is double. Here, the data type is integer. Okay. I'm using this color combination so that you understand and it looks a little interactive. Age is integer, percentage is double. What are the two things that you can do with a variable? Whenever you have a variable, let's say double percentage, integer age, what is a variable? Please understand it. Variable is a data holder. What is the name of this variable? Age. Similarly, I do have one more variable called percentage. I have one more variable called percentage. What are the two things that you can do with any variable? If you can message me, that's really wonderful. What are the two things that you can do with a variable? Message me, message me. No, yeah, to store the data. Yes, ultimately that's the purpose of a variable. So what are the two operations that you can perform on that? First thing, you can assign and store the data. First thing, you can assign and store the data. Second one, if data is already there, you can retrieve the data. These are all the two things that you can do with this. Now observe. I'll explain this, okay? Now, there are two things that you can perform with this. The first one, is I can assign some data into it. I can say age is, let's say I write my age, okay? 21. I write my age. So now I can assign it. I can assign a data into a variable, right? How do you do it? Let's say whenever you have this integer age, what is that? You can do it with this. You can assign the data like this, assign the data like 21. This is the first thing that you can do, yes or no? This is the first thing that you can do with this. This is the first thing that you can do. That's called assigning the data. All right, so what you can do now, first thing, you can assign the data into this particular, this is called assigning. You can assign the data. Can I also call this assigning the data as initialization? I can also call it as initialization, okay? Technically, this process is also called as setting the data. We call set the data. So set the data is nothing but you can assign or initialize the data. What is that data that I'm trying to assign? 21. Okay, I'm trying to assign a data called 21 into this age. This is the first step that you can do. All right, so this is called setting the data, initializing the data, or assigning the data. What is that second thing that you can do? It's if it is already storing 21. What is the data that is storing now? 21. It's already having a data called 21. So what is that you can do with this data then? Second thing, you can retrieve the data. Observe the arrow mark. You can retrieve, you can fetch, you can get. you can get the data, or you can fetch the data, or you can retrieve the data. You can retrieve the data. This is the second thing that you can do with this, right? These are all the two operations you can do. This is first operation, this is second operation, right? So one is you can assign the data, another one is you can retrieve the data, right? So that's what I'm trying to do it here. So now age, I just say age. What do you do with this age? You can print it system.out.println, system.out.println. You can fetching this and printing it, or you have the age. Now save the age to save the age to database, or you can also save the age to a file. You can do whatever you want with this data. Ultimately, you have the data called age. You can do whatever you want. This is called retrieving. Once you have this data with you, once you have this data, you can do whatever you want with this. So these are all the two things that we can perform on the data. One is called setting the data, another one is called getting the data. Hope you understood now. Okay, so remember, with any data, we can do two things. One is called setting, another one is called getting. Never forget this. One is called setting, another one is called getting. Setting means you have the data with you, you have to set it. That is, you have to assign it. Second one, you have something called, you already have the data, hence now you get that data. Right? So for performing this, if I write a method, and that method is going to be called as a getter method. We call it as getter method because you cannot access the data directly. Right now we made them as private, hence no one can access that data directly, correct? One cannot access the data directly, so you have to access it by using the method. So such method is called as getter method, and the method which is used to set the data is called setter method. Is called setter method. So each data member must have two methods. Are you clear now? Each data member must have two methods. Please observe now, each data member must have two methods. What are the two methods? One method is called setter method, another method is called getter method. So when I take an example of age here, right? Just let me scroll this down. If I take an example of age, age must have two things. Age must have two things. One is called getter method. Getter method. The other one is called setter method. Another one is called setter method. So these are all the two things. Similarly, whenever you have a variable called percentage, you can do two things with that percentage. One is you can initialize a percentage. You can initialize a percentage. All right, that initializing a percentage is done through a method called setter method. Setter method. And you can get, if it is already initialized, you can fetch that data, that is by using something called getter method. So every data member must have a getter method and a setter method. All right, so example here, the getter method name is called as get age, get the age, and similarly setter method is called set the age. Likewise, here I'm going to have the methods like get percentage. So another method is called set percentage. Set the percentage. Are you clear? Right. Good. So each data member must have setter method as well as getter method. So finally, what is the meaning of encapsulation? I have some data member. Observe this diagram. Now I'm going to have some data member with me. What do I do with the data? I'm going to make this data member as private. I call it as private data member. I'm going to make the data member as private, right? Then I will write for each data member. Hold on. Sorry, I was just arranging my writing pad. Okay. So each data member must have a public. Each data member must have a public 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 getter and setter methods. Public getter and setter methods. Getter and setter methods are also called as what methods? Data handler methods. So public, very, very important. Public getter and setter methods. Similarly, every data member must have private, okay? Private is very important. Private data members. Simple example, it is just like this, right? So I make the private data members like, percentage. So, and age, if I add percentage and age as the data member, private is represented by minus. Okay. Similarly, I need to have public getter and setter methods. How do I write public getter and setter methods? Get percentage, set percentage. Similarly, get the age, and set the age. So this is called encapsulation. So if someone wants to access this data member, they cannot access the data directly. They cannot access the data directly. Are you clear now? So they cannot access the data directly. They can only access it data through this getter method and setter method. Similarly, here also through getter method and setter method, because getter method, setter method is public and this is private. In this way, your data is protected or encapsulated. This is the simple fundamental concept of encapsulation. Now again, read this, you will understand it. Once again, read this. Encapsulation is the process or mechanism of wrapping up of the private data members along with its public data handler methods. What do you mean by public data handler methods here? Setter and getter methods. Right. That's it. So how to write the getter and setter methods, I'll teach you now. Until now, any questions you can ask me if you have. Nagendra, how do you know everyone face this problem? Are you in connection with everyone there, all 116 members? Okay. Okay. Nagendra, this is going to be uploaded. Okay. You can watch this again whenever you want. Hmm? Good. I tried explaining it in a simple way by writing some diagrams and all. Let me know if you have any questions. Sure, 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 Nagendra. I think right now all the previous sessions are uploaded. Similarly, this session is also going to be uploaded. Okay, any other questions for today? So now we know what is encapsulation, how to protect the data, how to I mean just by making the data member as private and by writing public getter method and setter method, right? But how to write setter and getter, we have to understand it. Smita is asking a question. Sir, name of the method is user want. I mean to say the meaning of her question is, can we give any name to the method that we want? Smita, logically, yes, you can give whatever the name that you want, right? Whatever you want, you can give the name. Instead of get ID, you can say fetch ID, right? Instead of retrieve ID. Similarly, for set ID, you can say initialize ID. You can give any name that you want, but a standard says, the coding standard says, it's better to use getter method and get and set. It should be started with get and set. You know, that's the universal standard or the coding standard that we follow, right? Okay, guys, thank you very much for participating. Okay, please practice, go through this session if you still have any questions, so that tomorrow for 10 minutes, we're going to start with, first 10 minutes, we're going to spend time on writing this getter method and setter method. Okay, thank you.